We are a team. As storytellers and dreamers,
there is always magic to discover.
Once upon a time,
a Las Vegas showgirl
and a comedian magician
figured out that even with different perspectives,
our adventures and experiences together
are really just
one big caper.
Hey there, welcome back to One Big Caper. I'm Athena, and this is my partner Phelyx. And this podcast is about all of our capers and
our love of capers.
our love of capers.
Not the little green things.
Those are good too, though. Yeah, roast them; they're a little crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're talking about adventures. We're talking about turning your mundane into magic. So that's what we do. Yeah,
that's what we do. We like people watching. We like people shocking.
Yeah.
See, this is unacceptable.
Can I smile? Most of our episodes are requested, but lately we've been doing our own ideas after running out of requested ones.
We invite you, of course, to send us requests or any kind of topics that you want to hear more about or questions that you have for us. We're delighted with that material to work with. The recent episodes are also kind of inspired by the season that these come out or occasions that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And also what we can see in terms of the subjects that people are interested in hearing about. So,
So our relationship episodes seem to have more downloads. So sounds like you want to hear more about relationships. So we decided to do a relationship episode. Different than the one we did last year. We did a 2-parter on what makes us different or something like that. I don't know. It was funny. It was like a Phelyx roast, really. But
it was kind of a roast, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny, though.
Yeah. Which is kind of daily.
Anyway, so I thought it'd be fun to do about relationships, and we'll probably have to make it a mini series like our Vegas and pivotal moments and all the things, but
sure,
because there's so much to say about relationships, ours is very unique. But one thing that came up that we've been talking about recently is online dating.
It's come up because we know we have friends, not necessarily mutual friends, but people that we each know who are exploring the world of online dating.
Oh, I'm so glad that we're together. We don't have to do this.
This is not to tease any of our single friends.
No.
But
you always have to say stuff to compensate what.
I'm sorry. I'm
not trying to make fun of my friends that are singletons or whatever they want to call themselves.
It's a scary, so I'm grateful that I have you because the online dating thing looks really uncomfortable.
Yeah. I have a friend who we reconnected after almost a decade, pretty much during the pandemic, and she was going through a divorce. And so I have been privy to all the details of her experiences with online dating, with various apps, not just one or two, all of them, I think. I don't even know how many there are, but I mean, like Match.com, and that was one of the first.
I think that's passé anymore.
Yeah, no one uses that anymore. They're just, it seems like, and we were just talking about this at lunch, is that it's more like just perpetuating the hookup culture. And people are just hooking up. They're not actually dating. But I still call it dating because, that's what I did before you. I was dating, but I wasn't using an app. I would just, as I was talking about in the visibilities, I would just stand out and then, wherever I happened to be. I met a guy when I was walking to my car after yoga. Yeah, that was an interesting situation. Anyway, so there's those kinds of things. I just don't understand why people need online dating, but maybe it is just because it's understood that it's just a hookup thing. And
I think that's what it is. It's an unstated contract.
Yeah.
We're going to hook up and then you're never going to hear from me.
It's just like when you're actually trying to find a mate and you're trying to find the one or the next one or whatever, it's really hard when you're dealing with basically boys or girls that are not mature enough to commit or carry on an actual relationship. It's just an interaction. I used to call them interactions when after my divorce and before you. They were interactions. I was not really dating. I was just interacting with these people because I had no desire to be in a relationship. And I've heard, like when I was driving for Lyft, I could tell when I was dropping off or picking up from a date. And if it had not gone very well afterwards, like they're like, hurry, like I think they just ghosted. And they're just like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And they actually were like, I'm out of here. Yeah, it was like weird stuff. And then I've had conversations with passengers that were on their way to date to like what they used to be called blind dates, basically. There was one man I remember, and he said it is so hard. And he was in his late 40s, early 50s, that, kind of age group. So he probably had been divorced and maybe had children. But, he's like, it was after the Me Too movement. He's like, I don't know how to be anymore because of all of these rules. I don't want to offend the woman if I'm telling her, oh, you look beautiful today. Like, is that going to be, too forward, or am I not forward enough? And like, he was like just pouring his heart out because for some reason people love to tell me their life story and when they're sitting in the back seat.
I get that too.
But yeah, like
You're bringing up
a lot.
a good point, and it's with something that I'd like to say. It goes right in there because it's one of the reasons that is cited in new predictions of a population decline.
Oh, right.
And that it's mostly rooted in the fact that people don't necessarily know how to meet each other anymore, and the Me Too movement has really caused men to be a little timid about approaching women. Is it even okay? Can we say hello? We get yelled at for opening the door for women now, and that's very strange. It's for somebody who's raised like I was.
Right.
It's opposite world. It's
Right.
bizarro land.
Right.
But people don't know how to greet or meet each other, and a lot of that is perpetuated by the fact that we just don't meet each other anymore. A lot of our lives are conducted on the computer.
Yep.
And so the answer to that is Tinder. Or
Bumble.
Right. And even then, this unstated contract that we're talking about here, so long as we have chemistry, when we meet, we're going to hook up and then never see each other again. I don't like that at all. I don't express myself physically in a relationship without a relationship. Does that make sense? So doing things with a stranger does not appeal to me at all.
Oh, yeah.
So
That
that
makes sense for
that
you.
part's foreign.
But I think a lot of women are that way too.
So on the population decline,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure women are like that. It's a feminine trait, I think.
Yeah.
It's definitely a feminine trait. I'm absolutely okay with this, confessing my feminine side. But children are not seeing any ways to meet other people being modeled anymore either. So the younger people are suffering by exposure to this new culture of not meeting each other. So and then there's this new awareness, and maybe it's a good thing right now. I think is only confusing, and that is all of the whole spectrum of sexualities and interests, and knowing that even if you find somebody in the restaurants that you're in, you find them attractive, you don't know where they fall on that entire spectrum, and compatibility becomes an issue. And it's,
so how do you meet people?
how do you meet people? Well, you become exactly the kind of shallow that I was told that I should never be, because you have on your phone, you have this app, and you swipe right or left depending on whether or not that image of a person appeals to every shallow interest you have. Not attractive enough, you just throw them away. It's like a video game of being shallow. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's been gamified for sure. It's upsetting, like I said, I'm so glad I don't have to do it. I mean, if we continue and we are in a relationship, someday I might have to. Who knows? It's just really sad because people are losing their ability to connect, and like that's one of my biggest values is connection.
Right.
So that shallow surface level, you look hot enough to do, and I don't know what else. You like yoga, you like rock climbing, or whatever. I mean, you see all these things on
You
these.
can't believe it all anyway.
You can't. My friend, she had an experience where she was talking to this person, and after all was said and done, she believes it was like 3 or 4, maybe a group of people. It could have been women too, who knows? But they just were trying to get money from her, which is like another dangerous thing about this online world is that, there's the scams. Scams pop up everywhere, wherever there's vulnerability, and lonely women, they're going to target.
Your friend was catfished.
Catfished.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what it's called. I couldn't remember the word.
Your friend was catfished. Got a photoshopped photograph.
Photo. And
Yeah.
this is what floored me, is that I recognized it immediately because we're both graphic designers. They said, honey, this is Photoshop. She goes, no, it's not. It's like,
she wants to believe the magic. That's how my whole career works.
I felt really bad. Like I was just like, I don't want her to get hurt any further. So I have to say, like, this is totally Photoshop. So then,
You're passionate about the subject.
I am. It only took a week or two to totally unravel. But there was, they wanted her to go buy them an iPhone because it was the only kind of phone that could be unlocked or some jailbroken or whatever. And then they had to send it. Like, it was really shady from the beginning. And I was just like, just doesn't sound right. And, when you're like, you're in this space where you're just like, I'm ready to meet someone, you want to believe the magic. And so I think that they're preying on, and it's not just women that are in that position. There are men like that. That one passenger I had, he was like, practically, he's like, I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to meet women that are good women, that are like mentally well and take care of themselves and ready for a relationship.
Well, it's, I think anytime over 35, 40 years old, it becomes especially scary because anyone who is single is either single for a reason or divorced for a reason, and it feels like gambling. There are ways to meet somebody, and if
I still can't find
might
them, but I'm not like
I might be
trying.
putting you on the spot to come up with something, but I will say that we met and found ourselves to be compatible with each other because we were doing work in the same thing, right? Yeah. So if you don't want to meet someone who's going to want to go out to the bar every single night, don't meet that person in a bar. Don't go meet
people at the bar. That's one thing I learned, because the boys that I was meeting, I met them at bars. Right. And it was like, I don't want to go to bars and hang out. I want to actually like live a life. So that's why we were pretty compatible, because we were in the theater when we met. So yeah, like we fell in love in the theater.
Yeah. So if you want to meet somebody who loves to go hiking, go hiking.
Or loves dogs, go to the dog park. Like that's what my friends started to do.
Meet people at REI or...
Yeah, go to your favorite stores and just start like walking around and talking to people.
Yeah, it's, I guess, the online thing appeals to shy people, maybe. People who are not.
Or people that have been hurt and they're just not quite ready.
Yeah.
And so it offers them a little bit of a shield so that they don't have to feel or get hurt. Like being catfished sucks a lot.
I'm sure.
Because I think as like innately we want to trust and we want to believe. Like in Santa Claus.
We want the Nigerian princess to really need to pay us to help her. Yes,
to help her.
Yeah.
Seriously. We really do.
Yeah.
And so these narcissistic people know that, and they're just trying to get something out of people. For her, it was an iPhone, which was like, why? I guess you can resell them, but whatever.
Right.
That's just stupid. Like, why? Like, I don't know. it's just upsetting, you know. So I was lucky that I didn't have to do the online thing, but I was about to start because I got to a point with dating these dumb boys that I was meeting at bars. And I just was done. I first gave up. I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to wait a few months and see how I feel after a few months. But then we had our magical hug. So that was, I mean, it was almost 2.5 years we had known each other or something like that. September, we met in March.
We knew each other for a little while.
A year and a half, about a year and a half. But, you know, I wish that it wasn't happening the way it was happening. And I don't see a solution because of how unconscious people be when they be in engaging into relationships.
In this culture, we're also unfortunately told that we have to be busy, constantly busy, and so people are under the perception that they don't have time to go meet people, and it's very convenient to swipe through your phone and look at photographs of people.
I guess that's it.
I guess, I don't know.
I don't say I don't have time anymore. I say that I didn't make time for it. It wasn't a priority. Those are my favorite phrases now because it's true. I didn't do that thing I'm supposed to do with whatever, you know, deferring my student loan or whatever. I didn't make time for it. It wasn't a priority. You know,
I hear you.
I don't accept the excuse I didn't have time. So if this guy tells me he didn't have time, I definitely have to like throw it back in his face. He never uses that. My children do though. It's funny. I've heard them use it. I didn't have time. It is. I think it's just a matter of making the effort a different effort. You know, it's just like
an investment in yourself, but it can be a little difficult to invest in yourself.
Well, also too, like if you like working out, like we were taking our advice earlier. If you like working out, don't go to the gym to meet people because people want to just work out. They don't want to go there to meet people. That's the other problem.
True. That's true. And I'm suddenly reminded of the adage, and I know it's an old saying, but you don't find it until you stop looking for it.
Which is exactly what happened to her.
And to us?
Literally, yeah, for me, you know, I wrote it out, my wish list, and I said, this is my order to the universe. And then he just showed up. He was there the whole time, but I just couldn't see him because I wasn't looking for you. But exactly, for her, my friend, after 2.5 years of the baloney that is online dating, she finally gave up. She was starting to plan her life alone. And like, okay, well, I guess this is it. And then he shows up. And he's this giant teddy bear of a lover, and she's smitten. And it's fucking awesome. I'm sorry I get so passionate.
So passionate.
And
You're
I think
happy for her.
Yes, I am happy for her.
Yeah.
If she's watching. It's unfortunate that it's gone as far as it's gotten. I don't know if there's any going back from online dating. I know I've heard of a lot of people, like even in the burlesque world, that were like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Because Bumble came along because Tinder was just way too much like hookup culture, like, you know, DTF, all of those things. I don't know if I can even say that because it's a.
But all, yeah, I think we're okay with that.
We're okay with that one. But you know, they just got tired of the game, and then Bumble came along to kind of help women along.
Okay.
But it's still bad. Like
I don't know much about.
So Bumble, the woman gets to make the first move.
Okay.
It's like the Sadie Hawkins, is that the Sadie Hawkins dance kind of thing? So it's around that idea that the woman has more control. She's more empowered. But I've heard that the boys are still taking advantage of that and manipulating it still for their Tinder. Like it's like Uber versus Lyft passengers. I didn't ever drive for Uber, but I could tell when I had a passenger in my car that normally rides Uber. If you've ever ridden either one or both, you can tell the difference between a Lyft driver and an Uber driver. And the Lyft driver or Lyft passenger and an Uber passenger. Uber passengers are used to saying they check, they don't want to talk. Like, like you're getting in my car that I'm paying for and giving you my time. You're going to talk to me. I'm not going to be your limo driver. Like, that just wasn't my style. But it's the same. It's kind of the same idea where Uber people are a little, I'm not trying to offend any one of our listeners who may be Uber riders or drivers, but there's a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, a little bit more elitist kind of feeling. Whereas Lyft was more down to earth, it's grassroots up, kind of like more liberal people, honestly. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing with like Tinder and Bumble, where you come from Tinder and it's just like DTF. That's all it's about. It's just like swipe left or right. That's it. At Bumble, you have to wait for the woman, but the boys would still do the same, play the game the way they played on Tinder, even though the women supposedly had the power. Yeah, I know. It's like, what is the point then? If they can do that, you know, if they can catfish or what is the other, there's something else that was happening, and I don't have a specific thing, but my friend had told me about, like, they kept trying to get the meeting set up, and it went on long enough that he just lost interest. He just stopped messaging. And what I think was happening is he was messaging multiple women on Bumble. Whoever got their address to him first, he went to. I think that was the bottom line. Which I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just really a lame situation that we've gotten ourselves into using technology for that purpose.
I'm over here shaking my head. But part of that has to do with the fact that I met my first wife online.
This is your juicy bit.
This is my juicy bit, I suppose. So we're going way back in time, mind you, but I did meet my first wife online, and it wasn't through any kind of an app. There was no such thing as apps back then. But that clearly, as evidenced by everything, did not work out. That relationship did not work out. And it was interesting. It was risky, but there was no sense that it was going to be a hookup. There was a lot of dialogue back and forth before we met. So it wasn't like ordering from a menu
right.
kind of thing.
Like an app?
Yeah, the drive-through.
Ah, there it is. It's like the DoorDash.
So that relationship didn't work out. There was a lot about this other person that I had yet to discover, of course. You know, there's only so much conversation you can have online, but things moved really kind of uncomfortably quickly for me in terms of when wedding bells were going to ring and that kind of thing. It went very fast, and that seems like, in hindsight, should have been kind of an omen.
A red flag?
Should have been a red flag. So in that situation, though, I'll tell you that it was disclosed to me later that she and her sister were deciding which of the two of them were going to date me.
So they were both emailing you?
No, they were trying to decide that before there was going to be a continued exchange.
So what name was being used?
I think they were both going through my ex's account, but I think there was maybe a little flim flam. So maybe, you know, some of that culture was happening in those early days of You've Got Mail. Yeah. I also have a friend who back in the 1970s found her spouse by looking at the front page of the newspaper and just decided, I'm going to marry that guy. So.
Was there a picture?
Yeah.
Oh.
A photograph and his name and his.
Oh, what was he doing? Was it an article about him, or
Yeah.
was it? Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the want ads.
No.
On
Front
Craigslist.
page, like an affluent character, and she just read through and found that he was single and successful, and she married him. She went out and married him.
I mean, that's one strategy that women take, and
Mhm.
now there's like, what is it? Moneybags Daddy, or what is it called? The gold diggers, and that's not a really
sugar
nice
daddy?
term.
A sugar
Sugardaddy.com
daddy.
or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
there
know.
probably is one of those.
My cousin was using that one. I'm such a self-made person. I just don't get it.
Well, that and we're actually romantic. I think that maybe
Well,
romance
maybe.
is being sapped out of people's lives or crossed off of their wish list because it's so hard to come by.
Yeah.
So they only get physical needs met, but no emotional.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like the connection.
Right.
And like when I was telling my daughters about one of my first boyfriends, I was like, you need to write me love letters and all this stuff. And I was like listing out all my, you've got to do this. And he didn't understand because he's not that kind of person. He's very like pragmatic. Like I was always attracted to Virgos, and they're not romantic type of people. They're just not. This guy right here, luckily, is a Virgo rising, but also very romantic. I got a love note this morning. You know, and we have our little butler who delivers it.
Mm-hmm.
We got what's his name, Gerard, or what is his
I don't think
name?
he has a name.
The butler?
Yeah, I don't
I
think the
thought he
butler got
did.
a name. No. The candle holder butler got a name, but I don't think he got one. Did
Is
he?
it Jeeves?
Is it Jeeves? It could be Jeeves.
Maybe it's Jeeves.
Is Ask Jeeves still around?
I don't
Speaking of
think
online?
so.
Okay.
That was pre-Google.
25 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Gosh, it's been so long. But yeah, so we have that romance, and I don't think there's a spot for that in the apps when you fill out your interests, love letters or romance.
I'm
I
a
don't know.
romantic. I don't know.
I'd never use the word hopeless romantic ever, or term rather,
Oh, I don't think. Yeah.
because I think you know what I think about romance, because again, my friend. I'm sorry I'm using you as an example. You can yell at me later. But she's getting love letters. And
That's good.
it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Like it's so lovely that she's met someone who was also tired of the online dating. Oh, that's 3!
That's 3.
But it's tapping into his sacred masculine energy and bringing that forth. And it's a beautiful thing. And I hope that these guys that are afraid of the apps and of the women on them, or girls, I'm going to say girls on them, and what could happen, I hope that they find that inner sacred masculine again.
I know. I have no idea anything about this person, right? So I don't know this person, never met this person, never seen a photograph of this person. But it's possible that he is somebody who learned from past relationships.
Oh, well, for sure. Yeah.
Communication and that kind of thing, and how to
Yeah.
interact. So,
I mean, that's what I think too. Like,
yeah.
But we all have had many relationships. I don't think there's very many of us that like married our high school sweetheart. I don't think that's
It's not
a
common,
thing anymore.
right?
So we've had the opportunities to learn how to be in relationships. And for us, like, I think we lucked out because our childhoods were pretty similar in certain ways. And then the kind of people that we attracted to us as partners were very similar in terms of psychological not well-being is the best way I could describe it. So I think that we were able to really learn from that crap and not put up with it anymore. I want my fellow women, well, and the men, the gentlemen, to be happy, to have what we have, and to, live life, a more fulfilled life. Not saying that being single is not fulfilling, because I was pretty happy when I was single. I was just missing a few things,
Right.
But that was, over the few years I've been doing mindset work with coaches and learning about what makes me tick, why I do what I do or don't do, things things like that is that it all comes down to what I value. And I think that our values are pretty similar. I wouldn't say they're the exact same.
No, but they're compatible.
Well, and so that's why I was saying this, because people are looking for compatibility in activities they do and movies they like to watch and like things like that are they're so surface level. Whereas I think compatibility has to go deeper. Like for true compatibility, you have to go like way deeper, many steps. And that's where you get down to values. Like, what do you value? Okay, yeah, so I like to do yoga. I don't like to go hiking, but I still like to be active. I still like to move my body. But I value my mental health. That's why I do yoga.
A number of likes and dislikes that don't necessarily match, but
right. But
we're still compatible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like in the apps, they show the little like. The only reason I know this is because my sister was sending screenshots of these boys that she's dating. They are almost 50, these guys. But I call them boys because I don't think they've earned their man card yet. You have to, and my friend knows what I'm talking about, the man card, the love notes, these things. It's not fake. I can tell it is truly authentic. It's not a game. It's not to reel her in. It's real. Okay. So that's, the boys do that. They hook, they do the real thing. Men don't. They're real. It's not, they're showing the sacred masculine like I was talking about. But on the app, you tick off the things you like. So if you like to go to the mountains, you like to snowboard or ski, you like to do yoga, you like to dance, you like to meditate. You check these things off, and then it shows your little icons, because this is what they show. But I don't think that's true compatibility, just showing activities that you are interested in. That's, to me, is not true compatibility. This is like a major topic. I think maybe we should do it.
It's one that you're very passionate about, we've discovered.
Again.
we knew this about you, but yes.
Okay, so like I said at the beginning, this is a relationships episode, and I believe now we're going to do a relationships series.
All right.
Because I know we talk a lot about being performers, but because, well, we fell in love in the theater.
I know, we spent our whole lives doing it.
We've spent our entire lives doing it, so we don't really have a lot of experience in other realms of the world. I have a few years in corporate, but that's why we talk a lot about performing, but I think we talk a lot about life. And so I think that's why I kind of wanted to do this relationship series. So the next one we should do is about compatibility. What is true compatibility to you?
All right. We'll talk about it.
Okay, I'll have to write it down. Remind me.
Okay.
Yeah, because we should probably wrap this up. Do you have anything to add to my rant about all these things?
I love you, and I'm grateful for you, and I'm glad I don't have to navigate that world. I would do so. I would probably look like I was 80 years old if I was trying to play with any of that stuff anyway. Yeah, because I just don't understand. And I'm not making fun of you if you are doing the online app dating or whatever, but it just seems a little reckless, and I hope that we've at least inspired, maybe not reckless.
I get what he's saying as far as reckless, but, I feel for you folks that are doing the online dating, because I would never want to do that. Like, I cannot believe it's even a thing. And I wish that some other way, the better way that everyone wants, reveals itself soon.
If you are genuinely just looking for physical relief or validation or something like that,
there's swingers clubs, there's sex parties.
Yeah, there are regulated ways to do that, I suppose. If it works for you, then that's fantastic. It's just a very foreign looking world to us, and
yeah, I didn't think about that. Maybe some people like it.
Some people are looking for no strings
which I understand, because I was there.
Right.
I totally get it. When you're coming out of a relationship, you really don't want the strings. But then at what point do you stop the game or change the game so that you can fulfill the other needs that you really need and are, growing up or whatever? Like my gynecologist actually told me that I need to be more mature about my sexual health. Yeah.
Oh, I did not need to know that.
But that's what I mean about being reckless, and I had to change the game. I had to change the game I was playing. You're okay. You're okay. He's going to be okay.
Send us your questions or observations, anything you want to hear us talk about a little more. Let us know, because we're always happy to interact with you. We can be reached at hello@onebigcaper.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can't keep doing this without you. Give us just a little bit of your time by subscribing, sharing, rating, or talking about One Big Caper with someone else. We really appreciate your help.
We want to hear your stories. Visit onebigcaper.com to get to know us even more.
All of the audio and visual digital media associated with One Big Caper, in whole or in part, is the property of Gazellus Productions, LLC.
Oh, my love.